Welcome to this introduction to the theory of knowledge. Over the course of this presentation, we will be exploring a fascinating subject: how we actually understand and acquire the knowledge we hold. Rather than just looking at facts and figures, we are going to dive deep into the processes, sources, and frameworks that shape what we believe to be true. The core question at the heart of the theory of knowledge is simply this: how do we know? We are asked to explore the origins of our knowledge. Does it come from our own personal experience? From the testimony of others? Or from hard evidence? We will examine the mental processes we use to evaluate and justify what we accept as true. By asking these questions, we begin to uncover both the strengths and the limitations of our own understanding and thinking. Ultimately, knowledge is shaped by where it comes from and how we judge its truth and reliability. Let's look at the four primary ways we engage with knowledge. First, there is acquired knowledge. This is how we absorb information from the world around us through observation, experience, and formal education. It forms the very foundation of what we know. Second, we have produced knowledge. This is when knowledge is actively created through research, experimentation, and critical thinking, generating new ideas and insights. Third is evaluated knowledge. We don't just accept things blindly, we assess knowledge by questioning its validity and reliability, using evidence and reasoning. Finally, there's distributed knowledge. Knowledge doesn't live in a vacuum. It is shared within communities, across different disciplines, and through various communication channels, which enables collaboration and collective understanding. In the theory of knowledge, we frequently distinguish between knowledge claims and knowledge questions. A knowledge claim is a statement treated as factually true by an individual or a group. These are supported by evidence like data or expert testimony, and they require justification to be accepted. For example, saying, "Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius" is a knowledge claim. On the other hand, knowledge questions focus on the nature and validity of knowledge itself. They ask contestable questions about how knowledge is justified or produced. For instance, asking, "What counts as sufficient evidence?" is a knowledge question. These questions help us assess the reliability of claims and encourage us to reflect on our biases and assumptions. To truly understand knowledge, you must first examine yourself as a knower. There are three key elements that make up your perspective: your beliefs, your values, and your habits of mind. Beliefs are the convictions you accept as true without needing immediate proof, and they heavily influence your openness to new ideas. Values represent what you find important or desirable, guiding which knowledge you prioritize. Finally, your habits of mind are your characteristic ways of thinking, whether you tend to be cautious, skeptical, or impulsive. All of these factors fundamentally affect how you engage with knowledge. Building on that self-reflection, it is crucial to understand how these three elements shape what you know. Your beliefs dictate what you accept as true. Your values guide what you consider relevant, and your habits of mind affect how you evaluate evidence and arguments. Recognizing these influences is incredibly important because it helps explain why two people can look at the same information and disagree on what counts as knowledge. By understanding your own beliefs, values, and habits, you promote better critical thinking and deeper self-awareness. Knowledge can generally be divided into two categories that act as two sides of the same coin: personal knowledge and shared knowledge. Personal knowledge is gained through your own unique experiences and reflections. It is influenced by your emotions, memories, and personal interpretations, forming the basis of your individual intuition. Shared knowledge, however, is created and maintained by groups, cultures, and communities. It includes academic disciplines and collective memory, extending far beyond any single person's experience. Shared knowledge provides the frameworks and standards we use to evaluate information together. So, how do you know what you know? There are 6 key methods we rely on. First is perception. Knowledge gained through our 5 senses, providing immediate information but sometimes subject to illusions. Second is memory. Recalling past experiences, though it can be distorted over time. Third is language, which shapes and conveys knowledge through words and symbols, though meanings can vary across cultures. Fourth is reason, using logic and analysis to draw conclusions. Fifth is intuition, those gut feelings that provide quick insights but may lack conscious reasoning. And finally, emotion, feelings that influence our beliefs and interpretations, which can motivate inquiry but also introduce bias. None of us acquire knowledge in isolation. We all belong to communities of knowers. These communities shape what you value, what you trust, and how you understand the world. Your family influences your early knowledge. Demographic groups shape perspectives based on shared identities. Cultural and national communities provide collective values. And online communities have created entirely new spaces for sharing and challenging ideas. Each community you belong to shapes which authorities you trust and highlights the deeply social nature of knowing. None of us acquire knowledge in isolation. We all belong to communities of knowers. These communities shape what you value, what you trust, and how you understand the world. Your family influences your early knowledge. Demographic groups shape perspectives based on shared identities. Cultural and national communities provide collective values. And online communities have created entirely new spaces for sharing and challenging ideas. Each community you belong to shapes which authorities you trust and highlights the deeply social nature of knowing. To critically analyze knowledge, we use the Theory of Knowledge Framework, which consists of 4 elements. Scope defines what a body of knowledge covers and its limits. Perspectives represent the various viewpoints from which knowledge claims are made and evaluated. Methods and tools encompass the processes and instruments used to create and test knowledge. And finally, ethics concerns the moral responsibilities involved in producing, sharing, and applying knowledge. Let's look at each of these in a little more detail. The first element is scope. Scope defines the subject matter that a body of knowledge covers, what is included and what is excluded. For example, biology studies living organisms, but it doesn't study the physical laws of gravity. That's the scope of physics. Understanding scope helps us explain why different fields focus on specific topics and reveals the limits of knowledge in each area, which prevents us from overgeneralizing. Scope essentially guides how knowledge is applied to solve problems within its specific domain. The second element is perspectives. Knowledge is never viewed from nowhere, it always comes from a specific viewpoint. This is shaped by individuality, your personal experiences and emotions. It is shaped by culture, the shared language and traditions of your group. It is shaped by academic disciplines, as different subjects use distinct methods and standards of evidence. And it is shaped by ideology, political, religious, or moral commitments that affect how knowledge claims are viewed and whether they are accepted or rejected. The third element involves methods and tools. Methods are the processes we use to produce and test knowledge. This includes carrying out controlled experiments, making systematic observations, cross-checking multiple sources, and engaging in critical debate. Tools are the instruments and systems that support these methods. They can be physical, like microscopes and lab equipment, digital, like databases and search engines, or conceptual, like language, diagrams, and models used to represent complex information. The final element of the framework is ethics. With knowledge comes responsibility. We must consider accuracy and honesty. Knowledge should be communicated truthfully, as distortion causes harm. We must weigh benefit and harm, considering the consequences of sharing knowledge on society. We must consider inclusion and exclusion, ensuring we don't marginalize communities through biased information. Finally, we must recognize the balance of control and liberation, understanding that knowledge can be used to either empower or oppress people. To summarize, our key takeaways. The theory of knowledge focuses on how we know, not just what we know. Remember that your beliefs, values, and habits of mind shape you as a knower. Knowledge comes from diverse methods and sources, each with its own strengths and limitations. We can use the Theory of Knowledge Framework, scope, perspectives, methods and tools, and ethics to critically analyze any knowledge claim. And finally, Remember that your personal knowledge and the shared knowledge of your communities are deeply interconnected and influence each other.